Hi everybody, welcome to Pro Tips. My name is Dave Dahl from Martin Guitar. You may or may not notice that it looks like somebody exploded a guitar in front of me. Get a lot of questions about guitar parts and their names. Some people are just confused about some of the things that we have names for, what we're actually talking about when we're speaking about them. Some people have different names for them, but what I'm going to talk about today and kind of point out with some of these things is the common names that we use in the industry, specifically with us, so you're just a little bit more familiar. All right, so to start, I guess the easiest way would be, why don't we start from the top and go all the way down, and by the top, I don't mean the top, I mean the top of the guitar, the top of the neck, right? So already you don't know what I'm talking about. Let's clear this up. What I mean, this little piece here, which is normally connected to more parts, but this is the headstock. So when we're talking about the headstock, we literally mean this area here, which houses the tuning machines. This plate right here on top, separate piece. So if your neck is mahogany or cedar or something like that, a lot of times you have a different piece of wood just to dress it up a little bit on the front of it. So like on this one, the head plate here is rosewood. Martin and Company here on the top is our logo, right? So moving down a little bit, here you have the neck with the headstock obviously attached to it here. In the middle, we have the channel that we route out for our truss rod. Could be an adjustable truss rod, could be a T-bar, square bar, depending on what model of guitar it is. This little mechanism that I have here, actually we use this to illustrate how the adjustable truss rod works. So you can see how it kind of flexes and everything, but figured I'd bring it along to show what the truss rod actually looks like inside the neck. If I'm holding the neck, this is the barrel back here. We use many different barrel shapes depending on the guitar that you have. Also on the neck, there's a special part down here. This is called the heel of the neck. This area right here on this specific neck is the dovetail joint. Now we use 3 different joints depending again on what guitar you use, and I have those 3 joints here in front of me. This is our standard dovetail joint. Right, so you'll see this on standard series instruments like our D18, D28, 35, 45, those kinds of things. Next to it, we have the newest member of our joint family. This is our simple dovetail, a little bit smaller of a joint, very tight joint. You can see that size there. You'll find this joint on like 16 series, 17 series, guitars like that. And then lastly, you have a mortise and tenon joint, which looks like this. Mortise and tenon you'll find on like some of our X series instruments and some of our 16 series and things before we started using the simple dovetail a few years ago. So examples of joints. This thing that I'm actually putting the neck into, this is on the inside of the body, and it's called the neck joint, the block, which you can see a little bit on here if you look on the inside of this body. If you can see right here is the block. Serves 2 purposes. Obviously it holds the neck in, but it also is an anchor point for the sides, the top and the back all get attached at that point. There's also a rear block or an end block down here which does the same thing just on the bottom. All right, we'll get into these parts again in a little bit. While we're still talking about the neck, I can't forget about the fingerboard. So this fingerboard, this is rosewood. But these metal pieces in here are called frets. You'll also notice that there's some pearl dots on the top of these. Traditionally, they can be in any position, but they usually mark specific frets for the harmonic series. So this is like 5th, 7th, 9th, 12th, 15, and 17 frets. Also on the side of the fingerboard, you'll notice they have their side dots so you can see when you're actually playing. We actually have a few missing in here, and that's to kind of show, to illustrate how we put these side dots in. We drill a hole and actually fill it with a piece of side dot material. So pretty cool. Now if we get actually inside the body, which we'll look inside here again, you have the front block here, the end block here. Here you have some of the back braces. You can also see the top braces, which I'll illustrate again in a little bit of a second. If you look down here really closely, You can see the wood looks like it's a little thicker here. It's kind of hard probably to see, but that's called ribbon. What the ribbon does is it helps attach the top and the back to the sides, gives it a little bit more surface area. Very important to the instrument. If you look all the way in the back of the side, you can see these cloth strips. We have those in there. They kind of help stabilize the sides a little bit. So if you ever hear people talking about stabilizing strips, cloth strips, that's what those are. If I spin this, and hopefully not get too much glare on it, really cool thing with this finish, this is called a sunburst, one of our sunbursts that we offer. This is bridge, this is saddle. The white part is the saddle. I've definitely had people get these confused and say, you know, I need to get a different bridge for my guitar to bring the action down. What we're talking about is the saddle. The black part here is the bridge. Bridge pins. This is the rosette. We have binding on the sides. The white part is the inlay. And again, if you look at everything, you see how everything is shiny. This is our full gloss finish. Just again, if there's any question with that. One other thing, while I have this in my hand, the term book matching sometimes comes up, and what do we mean by book matching? Spruce trees are not really big, so what we do, if you look at any one of our tops, there are always two pieces. What we essentially do is you have the piece, and I'll actually illustrate it with this. So you have one piece of wood, and you cut it in half, and then you open it up and essentially put them together. That's what book matching is, and then both sides will have the same grain, unlike the two completely different fingerboards that I'm holding in my hand, but you get the idea what I meant by book matching. So we briefly touched on the inside of the guitar. Well, here's a little bit clearer view of it, the bracing specifically. Here you have a bridge plate. That's what the bridge actually gets glued over top of that, but gives a lot more support to the top, and the ball ends of the strings, which I'll show you in a second, go up against this. This is our X bracing, obviously because it's, you know, an X. These are tone bars. These are tone bars. This top plate, sometimes called the popsicle brace, for stability. One other quick cool thing about this, if you notice, if you can see, these braces are what we call standard braces, right? And when I show you the difference, magically, these braces are scalloped braces. If you ever wondered what scalloped bracing looked like, this is what this looks like. They're hand-shaped. You see a little bit out of the X brace, a little bit out of the tone bars, right? So that's the difference between standard and scallop bracing. And lastly, what I have up here, can't forget about these, very important. Obviously, this is a string, right? If you look at this string, you'll see, now this particular string is one of our marquee strings because it has the silk wrapping around it. So if you ever wondered what the marquee difference was, didn't see that video, now you can see, and now you can go look for that video talking about marquee strings. And this little thing on the end is obviously the ball end, goes up against the bridge plate to help hold the string in place along with the bridge pin. So there you go. I hope that helped to clear up a little bit of confusion as to what the names of all of the parts are. If you'd like a reference, we're going to provide a link to help you see all of the parts that you can reference at your convenience anytime. Share with your friends. See ya.